Pan-African perspective. Welcome back to this Pan-African perspective. Sorry, my speaker view is not working. Let's try this again. Welcome back to Pan. There we go. Welcome back to Pan-African perspective. Your weekly live stream. We talk about things happening on the continent of Africa, all with the goal of advancing the continent. We are always hoping to get people to visit, invest. Can you hear me now? No sound. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, and let me know where you guys are watching from. I just got a what's up, Manelik is here. He said no sound. What about you guys on IG? Can you guys hear me? Shout out to Arnacia. I see Arnacia, Sugar Ray. I see WTB, Latwin. Which country flag is this? I can't tell. It's too small for me on my screen. Also, I'm not the best. Okay, so somebody else is saying no audio. Can't hear, no sound. Your volume is too low. Is this better? Can you guys hear me now? Let's try this. How about now? How about now? Is this better? Is the volume better? Can you guys hear me now? I just turned up the volume on the mic. Can you hear me now? If you guys can hear me, okay. Got thumbs up. Cool, 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 cool. So I got a thumbs up from Manelik on YouTube. What about you guys watching on Instagram? Can you guys hear me? So anyway, today we're going to talk. It sounds like you guys can hear me. So today we're going to talk about the major updates since being in Sierra Leone. Now we're here 3 weeks. 3 weeks in Sierra Leone. What are the updates? Everybody's been asking me since last Monday. We went live and I talked about the horrible situation that I came back to. Might be slightly exaggerated, but we started with that. But before we go any further, I realize it's going to be a lot of new people joining the live streams. And each week I should probably be introducing myself so you know who this is and what I'm all about. So first of all, my name is Joe Hatagwa. I'm the founder and CEO of Authentic African. That is everything from a YouTube channel, Instagram page, TikTok, etc., social media platform built around connecting Africans on the continent and people of African descent in the diaspora. It is also meant to an e-commerce store where we make products available to all diasporans that are ethically sourced and handmade from the continent of Africa. So from, if I'm not mistaken, about 22 different countries around the continent of Africa. So if you aren't aware, that is also what we're about, is the e-commerce store. And so we relaunched it quietly, I think 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned. We have all the products that are available updated today, and we will probably be adding new products in the coming weeks. So if you guys want to support anybody who lives on the continent, you can do so by going to authenticafrican.com and purchasing anything, carvings, masks, collectibles, bookends, all kinds of different stuff. All right, so let's give you guys an update as to what's been going on since I've been back. So I think I told you guys last week, I gave you the whole story about my caretaker just being, by the way, still nowhere to be found. Let's give you that update. So I went back to the site today. Caretaker was nowhere to be found. In terms of like me talking to folks who have been in touch with him throughout the years, who've gotten to know him throughout the years living on my site, they have all said they haven't heard from him in weeks now. He has disappeared, and there's no telling where he is and if he's ever going to be coming back. Here's one update that I didn't give you guys the last time. My generator is gone. So I went to the site today and I was thinking, all right, I'm getting ready to move back into my place. Need to make sure everything's in place. We've talked about this on many occasions. The generator had been purchased so that I can have light when there are light issues here. But it's nowhere to be found. And I distinctly remember my caretaker saying, I need you to pay for me to come back because I want to take care of something when I get back to the site. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I think now it's become clear. He either loaned it to somebody gave it to somebody, sold it to somebody. I don't know what he did. I don't know what his plan was, but my generator's gone. So I have to purchase a new generator before I can go back and stay on my site, because I can't live there without a generator. Just is kind of impossible. I know some people do live without light, but that doesn't work for me because of the full-time gig that I have, and having a satellite plugged in, and I'm gonna need to be able to communicate, and all the things that I do require internet, and so I need to be online, and generally that requires being plugged into an outlet. So yeah, not ideal that the generator's gone. So that's a new expense that I'm gonna have to pay. Now I can go get the giant generators for over $1,000. I can go get a more reasonably priced one that has little power for a couple $100. I think about $350 or so is what it costs to buy one of those smaller generators that can generally power fans, television, refrigerator, not a microwave. I learned that the hard way, at least not a high power microwave. So all the energy saver appliances, yes. But anything beyond that, it would be difficult. There was okay. So everybody said they can hear me now. Just double checking. Okay. So that was one generator gone. So that was one major update. The other update is I am still at Pearl Hotel. I have not been able to transfer back to my residence because, of course, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. Still not ready yet. So what's not ready, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. Inside the house, we still have some door handles that need to be put on. The gas cooker needs to be plugged in and put together. And by the way, as I mentioned, this was a project that was finalized and paid for in January. It is now May, and we're still not there yet. So that is a challenge, a major challenge, which is, not ideal, put it that way. So that's one. Two, they are in the process of digging a borehole on the property. But before I get into the borehole process, because I think it's an interesting one, and I think it's educational for everyone, I do want to answer this question. Say Bryant says, "What about solar?" Now, for those of you who are new and aren't aware, we've talked about solar in many different ways previously. Number one, the main thing that you need to know about solar is solar itself is all it is you're using a battery instead of a diesel generator. So a battery is powering your house. The solar panels just recharge the battery. So I just want to make that clear for those who don't know, because a lot of people do ask about that. So I do want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. So that's number one. Battery is basically what your house is running on. Now, depending on the company you go to, it can be really expensive. If you want to be completely off the grid and you set yourself up with a battery system that can charge generally from the sun and holds a long charge, and that you can use it for extended periods of time, that's going to cost you about $10,000 or so to go completely off the grid, generally. If you want to get something that is not completely off the grid, but it still is pretty high powered, it can run ACs, things like that, generally you're right around $3,000. If you want something like what I was talking about that my generator does, if you want a solar system that does what my generator does, that's going to be $2,000 or so. And so about $1,000 to $2,000 depends on what you do. If you decide you just want to get the battery and have, whenever the power comes to your unit or your house, you have that charge your battery. So like whenever the, EDSA, the electrical company, when they send power to the house, you can have it charging your battery at that time. And then when power goes out, you can switch over to your battery. You can do that. Or you can actually buy the panels, which is going to be more expensive. The panels are kind of the most expensive piece. So I haven't gone through the route of getting solar set up as of yet, That is going to be at the end of the year. I did a 3-phase approach for the house. 3 phases, meaning one phase is EDSA, the local electricity company. The second phase is meant to be for solar. And the third phase is meant to be for a generator. I think I want to have a generator as a viable third option in the future. But yeah, I want to have solar, then the generator as a third option in the future. But as of right now, I only have the local electricity company, but that may change shortly. So let's get into why I am unable to walk onto the property. So, or basically move into the property. So Equam says, is it Osage? Osage? Sorry, Equam says, hey, Joe, the problems you face in Sierra Leone are the same as Nigeria, but with Nigeria, you have the added problem of insecurity. That is something that people say often. Yes, the power in Nigeria is challenging as well. I've been, and I know people who are there, and yes, it is very challenging. All right. So let's talk about, and I was planning to do a whole nother live stream today, but some other things came up. It's been a long day, so I'm just going to talk about this stuff. So, stay tuned this Thursday. We got a live stream that we're going to talk about all the news of the day. There's a lot to talk about. But until then, let's talk about this today. So they're doing the borehole on the property so I can have my own source of water. So to be clear, we have a company called Guma. It comes from the Guma Valley Water Company. And this comes from the Guma Valley, and they pump water throughout different parts of the country, mainly the capital city, and it's very limited. Where I am located, the ability to get water is scarce. So they send water 2 days a week, so they say, Wednesday and Saturday. So they say. And it's about 30 minutes of water per day, if that much, and it comes like trickling in. So I have a pump that automatically pumps water. As soon as water hits it, it automatically draws water out of the pipes to try to fill up my tank faster. All right. It obviously is not sufficient enough when you're trying to fill up 3 different tanks and you only get water for 30 minutes. These are 5,000 liter tanks, and I have 3 of them, right? So it's in order to ensure that water gets into that main tank that fills up and then into the other 2 tanks, you need to have a significant amount of water and speed to bring the water up. So I decided to spend a significant amount of money, a little over $4,500, to have a borehole dug on the property to dig up the water. So what is a borehole? It is basically a hole that's dug deep. I mean, I spoke to the guy today. They've gone about 50 feet deep. They think they're going to have to go to 60 or 75 feet deep to get water because we're so high up in the mountains. They have to go really, really deep to get water. So let me show you what that process looks like, so you get a sneak peek. I'm going to do a vlog on this later, but I thought it might be good to kind of show you what this looks like. So I'm going to show you this, and then I'll come back and give you a little bit more of an explanation of what you're seeing. Well, actually, no, let me tell you what you're about to see. So you're about to see, they brought a truck onto the site. The truck has like this drill, and it's interesting because they have to keep taking these like drill bit things off of it, and they keep putting a new one on, and they can go deeper and deeper and deeper. And it goes through stone. I mean, you'll see it. It's a mess of a process. Let's start with this video here. So to be clear, this was day 1 when they started digging on Sunday. So this was yesterday. I went by the site, and this is what it looked like when they were digging. So this is what the truck looks like, and this is what the machinery looks like. All right, cool. So that's day 1. I went back again this morning, and it's a whole different thing over there. So let's get this video going, and I'll get to another video right after. So you see that we're just digging dirt. And they did this for about 4 or 5 hours, I think, as far as I understand. And then they came back again today and started the process. They were planning to finish today, so we'll find out about tomorrow morning. But look, this is what it looks like today. I'm going to get you guys a better angle from up, so you guys can see this a little bit better. But you can see it starts getting muddy in the water. So obviously, that's right in the middle of the way to walk into the yard. So I can't move in because I have to move around through this, right? So until this is done, I can't move in. Yeah, so but this is what it looks like. So I had no idea what a borehole was going to look like. You know, I think people have talked about doing this on their property before. I've heard people talk about this, and I never knew what it looked like, but this is what it looks like. And so this process is ongoing. It's really messy, as you can see. I mean, look at all this mud all over everything, everywhere. And so I went on site today. I had to get a garment bag for my aunt. So I had to kind of like walk around the property so that I didn't have to step through this. But this is literally the walkway into the property, like right into the property. So the truck backed into the spot, and then they just started digging. And so this is where we are. This is at 50 feet. So I'm told they're going to probably go up to 75 feet, as I mentioned before. If they do, you know, we'll be able to strike water. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they were able to find it today. I didn't get an update today. That's the other thing that I'm noticing, is that once I'm on ground, it's like I have to go to the site to get the updates. I'm not getting updates the way I would anticipate I would get updates, like I had been earlier on. And so I'm going to go to the site. And I'm supposed to be moving out of here tomorrow. This place was only available till Tuesday. So I kind of need to get out of here because I got, you know, I can't stay past 12 p.m. or 11 a.m. tomorrow. So yeah, so that's what's happening on site right now, which is why I'm still here at Pearl Hotel, and they're gracious and kind, and I am grateful for the fact that they are allowing me to stay here at the rate that I'm getting it at, because, you know, I've been here now basically 2 weeks, which was not the plan. It was not the plan. You know, when I said I was building a house in Sierra Leone, I was also saying the reason why I was doing that is so I did not have to stay at a hotel. Part of it, of course, obviously part of it is, you know, financial freedom, so dual sources of income, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that I'm not able to move in is very, very frustrating. We talked about this a couple of weeks last week, how I had initially planned to be moving in when I got to Sierra Leone into the main house. The guest house is where I had been staying for so long every time I'd come, but we had a bunch of stuff shipped, and it's not easy to move around in there. And it was left unattended, and, you know, I had to spray it a couple times, and, you know, I saw the water bugs this big, you know, laying around. It wasn't an infestation, but there was a couple of them in there. And I wasn't sure I got them all. So I had preferred to move into the new house, fumigate the old guest house, move some stuff over, you know what I mean, and start new, you know, because there's a brand new house that's supposed to be ready for me to move into, but it is not ready. And that's a very frustrating part to this process, is that, you know, as much as you try to time things out, you got to be patient and just know that if you want it done right, and if you haven't been on site, then it's going to take a lot longer for you to get to where you want to go. And so that's just what it is. You know, I mean, I would love for everything to have been ready, but it's not. And, you know, I'm just going to deal with it as is. So what else? So TJ says, the best thing you can do when it comes to water problem in Sierra Leone is to have a well or borehole, but that also depends on the area you're building. My property is around Jano Bay. not too far from Tab City. I have no problem when it comes to water, and I'm working on a solar system because you cannot depend on our water or electricity system. Well, there's TJ. Thanks for sharing, TJ. Any questions on anything I've talked about today? You know, usually you guys are really into commentary. There hasn't been much commentary this week. Last week, there was a lot of commentary because I was talking about my caretaker and I was story time with Joe. Seemed a little controversial, apparently. A lot of people mentioned that they saw that video. Oh, so I will mention I did go to TAF, and it was a great experience. Really, really, really good. You know, just overall, you know, interesting what they're working on, how they're trying to basically bring what they did in the Gambia and Nigeria to Sierra Leone. It's going to be difficult. It's proven already to be difficult somewhat, but you know, I mean, look, we're talking about a professional who has built multiple versions of this in other countries, but he has 200 acres of land. He's planning on building 1,000+ units. And I'm just trying to see if I can find a little clip from being there to see if there's anything worth sharing. Hard to say. Hard to say. Let's see if I can find a clip. I'm just trying to see what I can find so I don't it's all unedited, so I don't know what I want to share with you guys because I have no idea. Hot mic. Next time. We'll get to it next time. I'll show you guys TAF Salon next time. I just need to curate the videos a little bit just to make sure I know what we're sending. But by the way, this is my last week in these parts. Off to Ghana next. So, you know, I'll have to give you guys the update next time I go live, whether that's the weekly on Sunday or next Monday. I will be in Sierra Leone. Flight has been booked. I'm going to go to Asebu. I'm going to go to Asebu in Ghana, somewhere that I'd heard a ton about, never got a chance to see. Lined up my driver. I'm going to be meeting up with Alita Israel on her sites, and we're going to see the Israel estates she's working on. We're going to see the land that had been given to Black Americans by the chief there that was hotly disputed in terms of people saying it's not really free and all the different things that people were saying. I'm interested to hear her story and other folks' story, and I'm interested to share it with you guys. So next Sunday, I'm going to go to Asebu, which is right outside of Cape Coast, so a couple hours away from Accra. Unfortunately, Manelik, I don't think we're gonna overlap at all when you get to Ghana. Unfortunately, Sweet Pleasure says, if you could do any moves you made, if you could redo any moves you made, what would you change? Location, type of house, contractor selection, or better advice from experienced professional? Okay, that's a good question. It's a great question. So this question goes back to the house building process here in Sierra Leone. If I could redo any moves you made. So what I would say is this. Based on the budget that I had, I got the contractor that I deserved. Right? I was attempting to build something massive on a budget that would not have allowed for it, you know, while living here, right? So that's number one. I would say if you got a small budget, then be expecting to take a really long time, and you're gonna have to work with a contractor that's a little bit more flexible and who's a little bit less experienced, not as good with the finishings, to be able to do something for you with a lower budget. So that's number one. So if I could have done anything differently, I probably would have made sure I had another revenue stream coming to Africa before I moved, so that I could have generated a lot more. Sorry, I could have had the income to move a whole lot faster on the things that I was looking to do on the continent, like with the house, because I'd already bought the house long before I moved. bought the property. And so I could have started a lot earlier, had more cash, had I had more cash, so I can infuse that and get more done. So that's number one. What would be one change? That's probably the biggest change, is doing things differently financially before I started the building process. So yeah, for sure, that's one. Two, on the contractor front. Now you guys will get a chance to see this in my building a house in Africa series, which is coming out in a couple weeks. I went through 6 different contractors in the beginning to, look at their pricing, see how they talked about things. Went and saw their other locations that they've been working on. What I didn't do though was get an understanding of how many clients they were working with at the same time. That's really important, because the more they're spread thin, the more someone who works for them is going to be the person in charge of getting things done on your site. And all kinds of things can be delayed based on that. So, when you have a contractor that's really popular and that's doing a really good job, what could happen is they could be distracted by other jobs that they're working on. And so they may be there on site for extended periods of time, sometimes upline, which is, outside the capital city. Other times it's just, look, they don't have enough workers to work on every single thing at the same time. And so somebody is going to have to wait, because there's a queue of people that they determine, where those workers have to be. So making sure that the cash was available, making sure that that I choose more wisely when I choose contractors. I mean, it's tough because I did a lot of stuff that most people don't even do. What I didn't know though was, just because somebody's built a house doesn't mean they know how to build a fence or a wall around your property. And so I learned that the hard way. My wall is secure now, but it wasn't. So that was a lesson I learned. That's something I could change. Type of house, no. I think the type of house that I'm building, I think is the kind that I would like to see. And I would also mention having a project manager on the ground. Somebody I've spoken to recently via email had mentioned that they do that, and having a property manager on the ground, or project manager, I should say, to project manage everything that's happening on your behalf while you're not around, lights don't go. I didn't have that. And so I was doing it from afar, and it just caused so many challenges and issues with my first contractor, because it was just him and a couple of workers. And then with, not my first contractor, my third contractor. And now I'm on my fourth contractor. So I do want to mention that I'm on contractor number 4. TJ says, how is the road work now from Longley to Taft City? I haven't been in a few years now. The road work is pretty good. They're working on it a lot. It still has a lot of work to do, but it's further along than it's ever been. So just like the pathway leading to Regent, Grafton, all those places has been paved, and it's a whole lot easier to get there. Same thing is happening on the other side, on the peninsula, going out to John Obey Beach and all of that. Now, I would imagine property values are going to go way up in value once vehicles, can get there quicker, right? Just by nature of supply and demand. So something to keep in mind. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we go? What other updates did I want to give you guys? I mean, it would have been nice to be doing this from my house with my satellite up on the house, great internet. If I was able to do that, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't even leave that house. I'd be in that house all day, every day, except to go out, every once in a while. I went to Lore yesterday. Very popular restaurant here. Did a little vlog there, so you can expect to see that. Royal Fitness as well, a premier fitness gym. What else? Where else did I go? I mentioned I did TAF Salon. I got other stuff coming. I got other content coming. All right, guys. Look, I am getting tired. It's been a long day. I woke up very, very early this morning, 6 a.m. to run some errands, and I got to do the same thing tomorrow morning. So, hold on. What did Keenan say? Keenan Mitchell says, thanks and glad you guys are back. Africa for Africans. Absolutely. Yeah, guys. I want to thank you guys all for joining. I'm exhausted, as you can probably tell. And if you can't, I am. So I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna get some sleep. But those of you who are in Ghana and who I know you who are watching, hit me up, let me know. I am trying to meet up with some folks when I'm there. So shoot me a message. If you have my WhatsApp, send it to me. If you don't, send me an email, or I guess those are the best things to do. And so, all right, with that, guys, I want to say thanks for watching. Oh, here we go. Sorry, before I go, Sweet Pleasure says, I appreciate the in-depth reply. You're doing great. Your patience is displayed and admired. You are very encouraging. And remember, everything happens on the divine's timing. That is true. I do not disagree with that. And thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. So with that, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys all on Thursday for This Week in Africa. See you then.